when I started doing the public land thing, I did it partially just to prove I could and partially as a business decision. Because like you guys, I was sitting here looking at my competition. I'm like, nobody's going out hunting whitetails on public land and writing about it. And at that time, that market, there just weren't people doing that. But that's what I found too. I said, okay, if I take 85% of my fall and I focus on public land and new public land, the side benefit was I had to think about scouting. I had to think about being efficient, and you learn as you go constantly. There's no like, okay, well, I'll wait for the conditions to be right because this buck's going to come by. You're always trying to make something happen. And like you said, you learn a lot. I don't know about you guys, but one thing I learned in doing that over the years was like, patience is huge, but I think a lot of times it's easy to be too conservative in your decisions and not risk it. And I think what I've seen with you, the hunting, the bedding areas and getting in and scouting and speed scouting through stuff, I feel like you guys are pushing that message too. Like you don't have to be that conservative a lot of times.
No, and a lot of people don't have the time to do that. That's why we don't, when we go and hunt these states, we only stay for a certain period of time. We may have the time and the ability to be able to go to a whitetail state and hunt for a month straight until we, kill one. But most people have a week's vacation, or they have 2 days on a weekend, or they've got one evening on Wednesday night where they can go and then they can hunt again on Sunday. So if you're being really passive all the time, you don't have enough chips in the game. At the end of the year, you look back at the amount of times that you were able to go out there and go hunting. I mean, I looked at that passive strategy real closely years ago, and I was thinking like on big private land pieces in Iowa, it was taking some good hunters hunting passively 40 to 60 hunts to harvest a mature buck. And that's on big private land in Iowa.
Yep.
Like think about how hard it is for the guy that's in Delaware doing that on public land. Like people don't have 50 times to go out and go hunting every year.
Well, and on that point, we've been, you've mentioned where most of the hunting information comes from is from people who are not hunting public land, who are hunting private control ground. And so the idea that you should sit out the hot weather, or you should sit out the windy weather, or you shouldn't hunt on October 10th, all of that stuff comes from the private land hunter who probably lives in a different world than his audience. So some dude hunting, public land in Pennsylvania is listening to the juries or whoever say, hey, if the pressure's like this, don't hunt. Barometric pressure,
right.
Or if it's too hot or windy, or why would you hunt on October 15th when you could hunt on November 5th? But they're living in a different world where they can preserve this deer movement in these spots. We're not living there. And like to our earlier point, when you have to go hunting every day and you have to scout every day, you find out that a lot of that stuff is bunk. There's so much going on out there, and we give ourselves excuses not to hunt. And I think that's crazy.
Yeah. And that's kind of the way we tackle stuff. It's like every single day offers you some kind of advantage. If you look at it optimistically and logically, there's usually something there. If it's a hot day and it's early in the season, for example, they may not move quite as much, but if it's hot out and it's early, they're going to probably be bedded close to water. And like water may be a targeted location for them as soon as they get up. I mean, I've seen deer when it was super, super hot early in the season, mature bucks stand up in the middle of the afternoon and go get a drink from their bed, where they were bedded close to water. So, and it's same with a windy day, even if it's warm and the pressure's real low, but the wind is high, that cover is going to allow you to get in places that you otherwise wouldn't be able to under different conditions.
Yep.
So just looking for the daily advantage to get out there is huge.
Well, and those conditions, I talk about this all the time, but those are the conditions that most people stay home. And to me, if you're hunting public land, I would rather hunt crappy deer conditions when everybody else is staying home versus that perfect, crisp, cold morning when everybody's going to be out there. And, what you talked about with the pond, with the wind, the thing about this stuff is we oftentimes want what our whitetail hunts to happen in a specific spot. So we're like, if they're not going to walk by this stand or on this field edge, that means, well, the hunt's blown up. And you're talking about, well, if it's windy and they're going to move in the cover, go hunt the cover, get next to them. Or like the water thing. I think the most consistent pattern I find from public land to public land and state to state is water. And a lot of times that's just water in the cover that you can't easily observe, but you can scout it super easy, and you can find that stuff on aerial photography. And there's so many things that you can keep doing if you don't give yourself that out to stay home.
Oh, Tony, man, so many people, they'll message us and they'll say, like, I've hunted 10 days in the rut, from my favorite stand, and I keep seeing this big buck at 80 yards. Like, how do I get him to come over close enough to shoot him? I'm like, you can't plan his day for him. Like, yep. You got to go over there. Like, it's really simple. And people just they're handcuffed in their mind and their thought process because of what they've, been shown or learned. But it's like, just get out and move over there. Just get out and go over there. Find a way to hunt where he is.
Yeah. Pull your stand, pull your saddle, walk 60 yards, find a tree downwind to where that deer likes to walk, get up in the tree and kill him.
Yep. And when you tell them that, they're like, oh, man, thanks so much. I just didn't have the confidence to go do that. And then they go do it. And it's like, wow, that was really easy.
Yep.
Like just these mental hurdles that they got to.
It's huge. And you know what they're doing, right? They're sitting there at 80 yards, grunting and snort wheezing and banging antlers together and spraying doe piss all over the woods. And the reality is what your guys' message, and this is what I've tried to spread for so long, figure out where deer like to walk. Then go over there and set up by it and shoot them when they walk by you. Yeah.
I mean, if you look back at how the Indians did it, like hundreds of years ago, that's pretty much the way it worked. I mean, they read sign and they set up in spots where they could kill deer close.
Yep. It's such a matter of just learning what they like to do and then putting yourselves in that position to take advantage of it. And we try to, we're sold how to contrive these situations all the time, whether it's a food plot or whether it's calls or whatever. And there's nothing wrong with that stuff. But when you can't use a lot of that stuff or it's just not effective, you learn other ways. And the most effective way is just to figure out where deer like to go and get there. And, if you do that, and sometimes if you're off that 80 yards, that buck might be super callable because he's in his comfort zone. But like you said, if he's not, if that deer's not paying you any mind or he's been rattled to 8,000 times by public land hunters, just move in on him.
Quick disclaimer here too. Like we're still for a lot of the food plot stuff and, whatever passive tactics. We're just saying that when that doesn't work, there's other ways to do things. Like everybody can sort of pick their own style and how they want to go about it. I'm kind of the mindset just to be adaptive. Like try something one day. If it doesn't work for you, then try something else. I mean, at the bare minimum.
For sure. And, I'm the same way. I don't care how you hunt. I really don't. But take a look. If you're not successful and you're wondering why, take a look at what might be holding you back. It's going to be your mindset. It's going to be reliant on, a certain tactic or a certain spot. And the food plot thing, I look at that like I look at trail cameras. They're both super fun, but they can both be used as like a crutch to not figure out what's going on or to not move. Like if you got a nice food plot on a private piece of ground, how much of your hunting pressure is going to be focused on that one little acre versus the rest of what you have access to? And it's the same thing with trail cameras. People ask me about trail cameras all the time, and I'm like, they're an amazing tool that you can use so wrong. If you're using your trail cameras to only tell you not to hunt, or they're not here, or everything's nocturnal, you're missing out. There's a lot more that can be done, I think.
Yep, I would totally agree with that. Totally.
So I wanted to ask you, let me tell you this. So I've been involved in traditional television on and off a little bit in my career. I don't like it very much. I've done it. It's just not really my thing. And the way that I got introduced to you guys was I was sitting on my couch. Everybody else in my house was in bed. My text started showing up, and I was getting my ass chewed over a TV show I had filmed. And I hadn't used a specific sponsor's product because it broke on me before I left. That's all I'm going to say about it. So I didn't have it. Yeah. And this was a Texas hunt anyway. It was just a dumb feeder, get it out of your system obligation hunt. And while I'm getting my ass chewed for this, another person in our company was texting me randomly, "Hey, have you seen the hunting public? Have you seen the hunting public?" So while I'm checking out your guys's YouTube channel and watching these random hunts that you guys had. And this had to be probably not that long after you guys launched, maybe 6 months after or something like that. But I'm sitting here and I'm like, holy cow, these two worlds that I'm dealing with are so different. These guys in the hunting public, they're doing exactly what I want to see out here. And here I am having my night ruined over this traditional television I don't want. And I literally made the decision there, like, no more of that stuff. I'm not doing it anymore. And it was such a relief to see that. And I know you know Randy Newberg, right?
Oh yeah. No, Randy. Yeah. Well, and a bunch of his employees too. All a bunch of good dudes.
Randy's a friend of mine, a good friend, and he and I had talked about doing what you guys did or have done or are doing, I should say, for a long time. And to see it come out is really awesome. But the thing that I think is most awesome about what you guys are doing, it's not, killing big bucks on public land and showing that lifestyle. It's that you guys don't take yourselves so seriously. Like, I can tell you're having fun, and I can tell you're open to showing the mistakes. And that's probably been huge for you guys, huh?
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, from the get go, and this kind of goes way broader than the hunting industry, but if you follow a lot of the successful media nowadays, it's all really authentic, unique people that are just speaking their truth. I mean, that's it. Like, if you watch Joe Rogan and you listen to his podcast, which everybody does, he's just the same exact person that he is any other time. Like, he's not trying to be somebody else. And that's just one example of many, and I fell into the same trap that you're talking about 2 years ago within the hunting industry, where I was being told I had to do things a certain way, that this wouldn't work and this wouldn't work. A quick story, be honest, like when the buck bedding thing all came about for us, Dan Infalt and Andre DeQuisto and all those guys, Greg Blitzinger, Joe Elzinger, bunch of those guys that been dealing with buck bedding for many, many years. And we learned a lot of that stuff from them. But when we started trying it, we got so much pushback. It was like, none of that's true. That's all hocus pocus, And I mean, it made us feel like, wow, maybe we really are wrong and we're going to look like total idiots. But then we sat in the buck nest and we watched 5 mature bucks stand up in one evening, on like October 5th. And we're like, holy cow, these guys really are on to something. But that's my point, is if we wouldn't have tried that, if we would have just listened to all that noise surrounding us, from the rest of the industry, we wouldn't have ever done that. And that's why the hunting public came about, and that's why we do things the way that we do. We all have unique personalities, and I'm kind of the manager of everybody, and I don't ever want to hamper that. Like, each person has this unique truth that I want them to be able to show every day. I don't want to try to turn them into somebody that they're not, and same with me. So
when you guys, just in your daily life, are you guys getting hit up like crazy now by people who want to be a part of the crew? Are you seeing that come in hard?
Yeah, we do. We get a lot of requests for, people that want to hunt with us, and a lot of sponsor type stuff. From
are you guys
products and industry.
People just want to be a part of it. I mean, they see what you have going on and they want to get in, right? But they don't understand that you're running a business. I mean, I shouldn't say that, but I think generally people look at it like, oh my God, these guys are living the life. You're not filming yourself making business calls and working at your computer. You know, like you're still presenting this. You're giving them the product they want to see, but they're not seeing the behind the scenes stuff. And I'm just curious about that because,
Yeah.
you know, after following you guys for a while, I'm like, oh, there's going to be a whole bunch of people who try this, and most of them won't understand that at the front, there's this awesome hunt public land, promote the lifestyle thing. All the way behind it is all this business and all this work and all these decisions and this idea to culture, you know, personalities and what you guys have going on. And so there's a lot going on behind the scenes, right?
Oh yeah, certainly. All the time. Like this is our dead time of year, but we've been just swamped every day for the last 2 months trying to get ready to leave for turkey tour, which starts next week with all kinds of stuff. I mean, it's a daily grind, certainly.
Do you guys, I mean, how are you feeling after a year and a half of this, having the pressure of putting up new YouTube content all the time and new shows and new podcasts and everything? Are you already like, man, I need a beach vacation somewhere?
No, not really. I mean, our videos, there's a lot of them, but it's not, they never feel like there's pressure. We just film whatever we're doing and post it. Like, I mean, I'm sitting in my house right now and we just filmed a video on how to trap mice in my kitchen. Serious. It's going to go up on the YouTube channel probably later today after I'm done talking to you. And that's just what we're doing right now. I mean, that's kind of the whole idea behind the channel. And what we're doing all spring is hunting turkeys out of a tent. So that's what'll be on the channel for the next 2 months.
So it's just a lifestyle thing. And I love that you said that about the mice, partially because, you know, it sort of alludes to what we talked about earlier. But, you know, if you follow enough people on social media, and Instagram's the worst these days, where it's like you can't pick up a weight at the gym, you can't run a mile, you can't scout for half a second without posting a picture and showing the world how amazing your life is. And I'm just like, Are we all taking ourselves so seriously that we only have to present this total bullshit image that our lives are amazing and we're rock stars?
Yeah.
No, yes.
I think a lot of people want to do that, but then again, I mean, we're really original people. That's the one thing that I'm real proud of is I'm just a country kid from down home redneck Northeast Missouri, and I'm always going to be that person. Like, I'm never probably going to change that much. And the rest of us in the crew all have different stories. So it's not like we see somebody that we think is super cool and we just want to try to be like them all the time. See what I mean? We're going to do whatever it is that we know how to do and show people that it's all honest. It's all truth.